Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. Lace Out's back. Everybody's back. It's fantastic. The footy's back. Officially this week, we've got some games to talk about. Round 2 kicks off June 11, but you know what? The live stream of the single greatest podcast is back again. Week 2. We're live on Facebook once again. Peps, J-Dog, welcome again. How are you, buddy? How's your week been? You're pumped to finally figure out who you're going to be playing in just over 10 days' time.
I'm so excited. Footy is back and it's going to be amazing. I can't wait for the crowds. I'm looking forward to the crowd.
I'm looking forward to the bumper crowds of cutout people. Hopefully the sex dolls are going to take off. That was a massive thing that we spoke about last week. I reckon it is absolutely going to go off like a frog in chiffon. But once again, Peps J-Dog back for the Lace Out podcast, the number one official podcast here on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, and also on Facebook. If you're not excited by this, nothing will. But you know what? We want to get you as part of the chat. So get involved, get in, ask us anything you want because we have got a big night of football talk for the next 30 odd so minutes. Mate, I just want to talk. We want to talk. Get straight into it. Let's talk about these games. We're kicking it off in a couple of weeks' time. And funny enough, it happens to be just Collingwood and Richmond taking it off on a Thursday night. Are you a little bit surprised by the schedule that came out the last couple of days?
What would surprise me about it? No, not really. I mean, we knew what was happening 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knew it was coming out 2 weeks ago.
Okay, now I get the angle you're going for. Rivalry round in number 2.
Rivalry round. That's exactly right. Rivalry round. And guess what? Rivalry round is out again, and they're knocking it off in round 2. So round 3, what's that going to be?
Just plain old shitty footy.
Shitty footy? Yeah, well.
No, you're right. I mean, it's better to have something than nothing, so we've got to be grateful for that. But there's a couple of things about rivalry round.
Yep.
Port, and I'm obviously going to bring it close to home, but Port and Adelaide are playing in Adelaide. A showdown with no crowd.
Oh, showdown with no crowd.
Weird?
Every game's going to be weird. Crikey, for the next 16 weeks, no one is going to the footy at all.
So why have a showdown that you can't go to away from where everyone's based?
Mate, why have any football that you can't go to? Let's be frank. You can't go anywhere anymore. It's over. Football's over this year. They're just doing it for the sake of saving some face on the ratings. It's as simple as that, nothing more.
I just found it weird, that's all.
The whole thing's weird. Everything is weird with this football season going on. I don't know. I really don't know what's going to go on. I really have no idea.
You got a shadow, Peps.
I have got a shadow. The little shadow's next to me. The champ, the superstar, the zero-game legend of the East Keilor Football Club. My little man Noah's just popping his head by to have a bit of a look.
How many shirts has he ripped so far?
How many shirts? He hasn't ripped any shirts. He's not like his dad, unfortunately. No, he's a superstar. He is a superstar, the little man. I must admit. No, I think footy's going to be interesting. It's going to start off with a big game on Friday. Look, I can't stand. Lee Mack's on again this week. Typical Melbourne pessimism. You know what? Hawthorn getting the favourite to draw every single year makes me want to throw up as well too. So don't you start, Mac Daddy.
Has Lee Mack dropped a name already in the comments?
No, Lee Mack has not dropped a name already in the comments, but no doubt if we give him about 3.5 minutes, he will be dropping a name. So look, let's have a look at the first round of matches that are going to be going through. We're not going to go through all four rounds because you know what, everybody can see what's been going on with that. But let's just have a look at the first four. Let's have a look at the first round, which is kicking off, and then we'll have a bit of an announcement of what we're going to be doing as well too. So let's have a look. So the first game we've got Collingwood and Richmond is going to be 7:40 on the Thursday night, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Friday is going to be Geelong versus Hawthorn. Jeez, bumper, absolute bumper game that is going to be. And I hope Geelong flog Hawthorn so then I can just give it to Lee Mack on the next episode as well too. On Saturday is a bumper day. Brisbane Lions versus Fremantle. Go up there at the hub in Queensland. Then in the afternoon, the 4:35 Saturday leading into the news, we've got Carlton versus the D's. If you're not excited by that, Melbourne, nothing will get you wound up.
But hang on,
Gold.
Peps.
Yep. What?
Peps.
Nah, what?
So not only have we got to watch the news, which is just basically negative.
Mm,
Negative news is basically an hour and a half or whatever of just
yep.
negative. We've got to sit through negative football for 2.5 hours before the news. Like that is just a depressing Saturday. That's Saturday sadness.
Well, look, that's what happens when you follow Carlton. I know Melbourne are going to hit the ground running. They are going to smash them. They're going to absolutely pulverise them.
God, I hope they lose. I hope they lose.
Who, Melbourne? Oh, shut up. It is not the Blues with the bye. Gold Coast are playing the West Coast Eagles at 7:40 that night as well. And then Port Adelaide. I can't believe at the moment Port Adelaide is favourites to beat Adelaide.
Of course. Top of the ladder, mate. Top of the ladder.
Anyway, I think Adelaide have got the bye there.
Oh.
And then we move into Sunday. Some bumper games as well up at Giants Stadium. Giants versus North.
Boring.
Battle of the Minnows. The Victorian Minnows versus the New South Wales Minnows. Sydney Swans versus Essendon. I hope the Swans pump Essendon because I hope they have a putrid year. And St Kilda versus the Western Bulldogs. The 6:05 Sunday night game. I'm a little bit excited by the Sunday night game. And I think, and I hope the Western Bulldogs pump St Kilda as well because I just really want their bumper recruits that they picked up this year to have an absolute fizzer.
I'm kind of with you. I mean, we always talk about the 4:00 Sunday night game being just the absolute dregs during the middle of winter.
Yeah.
A night game on a Sunday night. Could that be a new time slot for football going forward?
Yeah, I think it is. I don't mind it. I don't mind because the graveyard slot, no one's going to be doing anything. Listen, Sunday night in Australia, people, because we've got overseas contingent, we've got the stud over in England. We know we've spoken about him many, many times. Sunday nights in Victoria, and when it comes to television, a poo. All you get to choose from is a cooking show, a singing show. I don't know if the Lego show's on. And CSI Botswana's usually on as well too. There's nothing of quality television on. Probably a cartoon series of some sort, and a Miss Marple's mystery on ABC and probably ABC too. So to be able to put the footy on at 6 o'clock, just the kids are starting to get to bed. I don't have to watch anything else. Don't have to watch any of the crappy old review shows. We can get on and watch some footy. That is absolute gold, and I like it. And Lee Mack, if you think the Blues have got the bye against the D's in round 2, you're dreaming, my friend.
Lee Mack and I
absolutely dreaming.
We should catch up, Lee Mack and I. I think we'd like a house on fire. I got a feeling. I got a feeling in the face.
I know you got a feeling down in your loins. I tell you what, if you had a meeting with the Lee Mack, he would bring you know how thick his phone is? He has a phone like an old school Yellow Pages because that's how many photos of him he's got the hand around the shoulder with all the famous people.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
He loves it. Yeah, he loves it. And I used to call him the dustpan.
Yep.
Because we had to sweep up all the names he used to drop and the photos he dropped. We spoke about that last week, and the story continues as well too.
So let's bring it back on footy.
Oh, why? Yep.
I want to pick up on the point that you just finished off with.
Mm-hmm.
The 6:05 game, I do agree on a Sunday, and I do believe that this is my eye to the future. They're not worrying about bums on seats.
No.
For the future of this particular time slot, I reckon they're looking for a TV audience, and it's a TV audience only game.
Oh, it is. It's a TV audience game. Who's going to go to the game at a 6? No one used to go on Monday nights. No one used to go Sunday nights. The only reason why they're playing it at that time is because no one's going to go.
Yep. And I reckon they're going to use this time slot on a Sunday night in the future. I reckon they actually will turn this into a regular thing.
Well, I can tell you now, mate, that on the week later at 6:05, the Dockers play Port Adelaide at Metricon.
Yep. It's going to be Yeah, it's
going to happen. And you know what the corker is? That weekend, the June 21st game, at 1:05, Gold Coast play Adelaide at Metricon.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Dockers play Port Adelaide that same day at 6:05 at Metricon. Double headers are back. The
Good.
D-Heat, otherwise known as Tasmanian round. The double headers are back.
Will we see a
Yep.
return
Yep.
to 90s footballs with the center square just cut up
Nah, won't get cut up. Nah.
and the ball just stopping? And remember how you used to just bounce and then just stop?
Oh yeah.
I'm looking forward to that, Peps.
Nah, look, you know
Players-
what? I'm just looking forward to footy being back. I know it sounds kind of strange. I'm actually looking forward to it full stop.
I see players coming off and just covered in mother clay. You know like Murray. You know, what's it called? Merry Creek clay. I think these are the MCG center
You got
square.
no idea what you're talking about, are you?
No, I do. Seriously, it's called Merry Creek clay, and that's what they use for football for the cricket wickets before they use drop in.
Oh, the drop-ins are poo.
Legit
Drop-ins
know
are
that.
poo. Hey,
Merry. Yes.
sorry. No, keep going.
No. It's just a bit of a sports turf talk here.
Spurs.
Jamie's sports podcast. Yeah, Merry Creek mud is what they used to set the MCG wickets at one time.
Hey, you know another story that came up during the week? Eddie Maguire. Now, Eddie just wants to get his voice out there a little bit more as he normally does, and he's had a crack at Geelong because of not being too transparent with the whole Jack Stephen incident.
Stevens.
Yeah, Stevens, one or multiple, whatever you decide. Is he the
Stephen.
biggest hypocrite in the world because of what happened a number of years ago in 2010 when the two gentlemen after the grand final got themselves in a bit of mischief?
Yep.
And we weren't
Also,
too transparent on that?
the Didac incident night that night through Melbourne.
Oh, where does it stop? He's out of
Yeah.
control. Like,
I agree.
you agree?
Yeah, totally agree. He is out of control, but he is there. He's got a dual hat role.
Dual hat role?
Yeah, he's there to be obviously the president of the football club. He's also there to be a media commentator.
Yeah. No, it's true. It is totally true. But you do have to have a split.
Yes.
And I don't think he has the split at the moment.
Well, I think he just opened himself up to a lot of really interesting positions because as soon as he says something in a media talk role,
Yeah.
then people go, well, you're the president. You've also done dodgy shit over your life.
Oh, he's done lots of dodgy shit. You know what's really dodgy? You should see your head in the chat in the video at the moment. We can't even see. You look, all we see is forehead.
I'm taking my shoes off.
Jesus, this is going well. Yeah, it hasn't worked. I didn't realise he had a massive bust up with Neil Mitchell about this whole thing quite a number of years ago, because he challenged him on it and he pushed back quite hard, and they dropped out for 10 years. And even Tim Lane was refusing to do games with Eddie Maguire as well too because of this whole thing. So he's causing a lot of mischief in the league as per normal. Sometimes you just need to think about, which side the bread's buttered.
Yeah, and I think the Tim Lane thing was more revolving around when Eddie and Channel 9, when Eddie was head of Channel 9 and Tim Lane had come over to sign to be the commentator. And I think in Tim Lane's contract that said something about he's going to do Friday night games and Eddie won't do Collingwood games.
And that fizzed, didn't it?
On the media release night when they're all at the front of the stage at the Crown Palladium and blah 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 blah, the launch.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it got announced that Eddie is going to be there in the Friday night team, and I think Tim Lane sort of was he was like, I'm out. I was supposed to be the main man, and it's not me.
And he's pulled the unit. He pulled it straight away, which is great. Tim Lane, love him. He's just straight down the line and calls it how it is. Another comment's just come through. The MCG destroyed Tony Hall's career, that MCG mud. That was actually in a State of Origin game, 1989, I believe, or 1991. One of the two. And he was running through the middle, took a bounce, and he got tackled from behind. I think it was even Andy Collins took him from behind and did his knee and never played again.
Wow.
So that's another reason why they got rid of the muckiness of the what was it? The mud? What type of mud was it?
Merry Creek. For those Melbourne people, there's a creek called Merry Creek, and that's where they get their mud from.
The Merry Creek mud. Fantastic. Exciting stuff there. So yeah, it's going to be it's kind of weird. There's the clubs have started to get back, started to do some full contact drills. But another thing is that it's just going to be a different type of footy. I just don't know what do you expect. What do you reckon? I don't know. What do you think the footy's going to be like? You're going to watch it for the sake of it because of your team? Or you're just going to think it's glorified practice matches again?
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah,
Leave a comment in the chat. Tell us what you think.
I think I will watch it just for the sake of a weekly podcast. But if I was just an observer, that first round, I only really watched the Richmond and Carlton game.
Yep.
I watched my team, Port Adelaide, and then I watched your team, and that was it. I didn't watch any other games because I couldn't. I actually couldn't. I switched over and had a flick through, but to sit down and actually be into the game, nah, not for me.
No, I even went back, I think after the first week, I think I went back and watched Melbourne's last finals appearance, which was a couple of years ago, just to watch a game with the crowd in it. Because the crowd brings so much atmosphere to the game, and it's just going to be so strange, so feral. Non-feral. Yep. I don't know what's going to be there. It's just going to be a challenge. Look, they're just doing it for the sake of the dollars. We all know that. Everybody knows that. Can't do much more about that. I wanted to bring something up whilst we're going down this route. Yeah. There's a podcast that I've listened to quite a number, and if you've listened to this, let me know in the chat as well, peeps. The Sacked podcast on the Herald Sun website.
I am.
And if you haven't had a chance, listeners, get on it because they are absolutely cracking interviews. And funny enough, there was two that I listened to. That one I wanted to listen to, which was Jason Ackermanis, which was everything. If you've listened to Acker before, you know what he's like. Nothing changes. They did a two-parter with Brendan Goddard, and he was brilliant. It was a cracking pair of interviews. One on the St Kilda days and one on the Essendon days, etc. If you haven't had a chance, listeners, get on and have a listen. You can pick it up on Spotify. You can pick it up on Apple Podcasts, just where you can find Lace Out every single week. You can find us on those two platforms and many others as well. But subscribe to it and have a listen because they are some belter interviews. They did them with a couple of players. They've done them with Stephen Milne, Stephen Baker, but they've also done them with coaches as well. They've done them with Guy McKenna, done it with Brendan McCartney, done it with Danny Frawley before his unfortunate passing. It's a cracking series of podcasts, and I'd strongly recommend you get on and have a look because you'll be, magnificent. Yeah, magnificent. Lee Mac, BJ can hit a golf ball. Let me have a guess. You played around with him.
With the Sack podcast, I've listened to almost all of them, I think, except for the Acker one.
Yep.
It does sometimes seem like they're just bitter old men.
Oh, well,
like I'd love to hear.
Didn't Mick Moldhouse say that there's two types of coaches, ones that are coaching and ones that aren't?
But I'd love to hear, and it'll never come out unless you get football administrators on. Really, I think they'd tell some really good stories of football administrators because they can talk about what they're seeing at the board level and what they're discussing. Because at the moment, when you have a coach who gets sacked, of course that's the one side of the story. But as we all know, with any sort of conversation we have, the truth's always in the middle somewhere. So I'd love to have a football administrator also come on sort of and line that up. So we, as a listener audience, we get the coach and the coach's side and then the football administrator side to talk about the boardroom stuff. I'd love that.
Yeah.
I think stories.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you listen to the Grant Thomas one, it's actually really good. So he talks about a bit of that. Yes. And the Goddard one does get stuck into a bit of the Demetriou side of things as well too. Yeah. So they're corkers. Brock McLean even opened up a fair bit about his time with Melbourne and some of the things that were going on in the back workings as well. So you are going to get a very diplomatic from some, but others you're just going to get a very just straight down the line. Ackers is a perfect example. Like Acker just says it how it is. And I liked it. You didn't get the fluffiness about it. The Brendan McCartney one's a really good one as well too because he's not bitter. He's just honest. And he talks about Melbourne's future. He talked about his time at the Dogs, and he's talked about his time at all different clubs, etc.
Yep.
There was a lot of bitterness involved with that one. So
I
don't want to. I want him to be honest, but I don't want that bitterness side of things as well.
Just want to be open. I'd love to hear not just. I know it's called the podcast, but it's called SAT. So I guess that's the audience. I mean, that's your guests. But I'd just love to have a bit of football talk and some of those. Those heads have been around football for 20, 30, 40 years and just can just talk about the culture and what led to a decision being made. I'd love that.
Yeah. Well, the Goddard one was a ripper because on the Monday, he was pretty much saying, yep, I'm ready to go. Going to get another contract, had a meeting. And on the Thursday, he was told, no, sorry. And he's like, well, hold on a second. What happened between the Monday and the Friday?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to take a bit of a slight turn?
Okay.
Because a question has just dropped through, and I'm a little bit passionate about this one because they beat us in this grand final, but a question just come through from one of our loyal viewers. And the question is simply this: is the 2000 Bombers team the biggest underachievers ever? Well, in the words of Stone Cold Steve Austin, give me a hell yeah. They are. Think about it. They missed a prelim by virtually a kick the year before in 1999.
Yeah.
They won the grand final that no one was going to beat them. They were unbeatable. Lost one game for the season in 2000. Came into 2001 on the back of a pretty good season. Lost to the Brisbane Lions in the granny, and nothing ever happened after that. They're from a premiership perspective, they should have won at least 99, 2000.
Yeah.
2001, oh geez, they were going favourites into that one as well too, weren't they? And they just got out smashed by.
Right. Yeah, 2001 they were favourites.
Well, that was the whole Lee Matthews. If it bleeds, we can kill it.
I would probably put them up there. Yeah, I'd say yes, and I would also counter that, unfortunately, with my team during the early 2000s as well.
Ooh, now who's the bigger one, you reckon? You or them?
I would probably say us because we were up there for 4 years.
4 years?
Top four for 4 years in a row and got beaten straight sets, actually, from finals for the 2002, 2003 games.
So the Sam Stozers, straight sets.
We lost to Collingwood, both of them, over there as well. We had home finals and lost them still. So maybe I look, the team of the 2000s. The 2000s Bombers were a really good team. So yeah, interesting.
They lost one game, and they won the flag. Great, but they should have got. It's almost like Richmond. If Richmond didn't win their second one last year, they would be on the same plane.
Completely agree.
But they've come out and they won that second one. They never got that second one.
Well, could you
4 years later, they played in finals again, and that was the last time they've played finals since 2004.
You say that the Giants are equal in a modern era?
Nah, not at all. Giants are completely different. They've made a grand final. You got to understand. Look how far they've come back from. They've only been in the league for when they joined. They joined in 2012.
Yeah, 2012.
So they've only been going 8 years. Now, mind you, yes, they've been given everything on a silver platter.
Correct.
But they've made a grand final. They've made a couple of prelims. For a club that's only 8 years old, they've done magnificently. And I reckon, no doubt, they'll win one in the next couple of years. Okay?
Yep. I think you can't take the Giants. You can't, like, they've got given everything. They're not a real football club. That's the grab this week, Peps. The Giants are not a real football club.
Shit, now you're pushing it, aren't you? I think they're a real team. I think they're a real team, but they had all kids, mate. They started with kids. They were basically an under-18s team playing senior footy.
No,
and they've finally had the maturity in the last couple of seasons. Gold Coast. Now, there's a team that's just not a team. They're not a football club at the moment. They haven't even
No.
had success and they've been around longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They went about it a completely different way.
They went around it a completely different way, and it looks like they went the completely wrong way. They did not get quality people into that club from scratch.
Yes.
Not at all. Did Port finish 1-2? Sorry, finish top 2001, 2002, 2003?
I think that sounds about right to me. It's bloody close.
Yeah. Yeah, not a good result, that is it?
No.
No.
I mean, it could be worse.
How could it be worse?
You could lose a grand final by 165 points. Not that much, but
What was it, 127?
yeah, 127.
127. Geez, I wonder whose record you beat that day. See if anyone will leave a comment in the chat. I know one person will. Who held the record for the highest grand final loss before Port Adelaide took it over? Question for the listeners out there. Write it in the comments. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify because we'd love to hear what you're thinking of this fantastic show and everybody's listening at the moment.
And finished top in 2001, Port 2002, Port 2003, and Port 2004.
Jeez, you could actually be worse. You could actually be worse than Essendon.
Yeah.
You reckon?
Yep. And back up again in 2007, we finished second to Geelong.
Well,
in the ladder. It's pretty embarrassing.
It is pretty embarrassing. Rightio. Hey, do you know, as the AFL is coming back,
yeah,
the local football side of things is also kicking off.
Really?
Yep, it's starting to kick off. They're allowed to go back to training as of last week as well.
Yep.
But have you heard some of the rules that they've got to work around when it comes to community football, etc.?
Run me through them,
mate. Now, let's just put this in perspective. This is local football. Lots of volunteers. Okay, some blokes getting some, pretty good coin, but a lot of people just having a bit of a kick around. All right.
Yeah.
Now, these are rules that AFL Victoria have put in place for football to get back together. Okay. So, small outdoor group training of up to 10 people. Okay, which it sounds okay.
10 in a group.
Yeah, 10 in a group. But here's the thing, right? You can only have 10 per half a ground.
What's half a ground? Is it half a ground down the middle of the
half a ground? No. Oh, we can go down lengthways and go acrossways. It doesn't really matter where half a ground is, but only half. 10 people on each side.
3 forward, 3 half forwards, 2 rovers, 1 winger, 2 wingers. Like we'll get to a game, Peps, where the wingers stand will determine where the COVID free kick is paid.
Dude, this is the thing, right? You've got 22 on a team.
Yeah.
21, 22, depending on how many of them. How are you... What are the other two going to do? Sit on the bench? If they do, they have to sit on the other side of the fence because they can't be on the side of the ground. So there's one thing, right? There has to be 1.5 meters of social distancing and strictly no contact. All right?
So, hang on. Okay, every time you talk something, I'm going to say something, okay? I'm going to make a
go for it.
rolling mind as I'm going through. So, no manning up around contests?
Oh,
Okay, and when the balls bounce in the centre, you have to stand 1.5 meters off them?
Yep.
Okay. It's going to be a very loose football game.
Yep. This is just the training side of things, all right? So this is just the training. Now, footballs are allowed, but no other equipment. The only other equipment that you can have are the field cones.
So no tackle bags?
No tackle bags at all. No tackle bags, no jumping bags.
No specky bags?
No vests. Mac Daddy, you can get stuffed because this wouldn't be the perfect game for me. I love a bit of the hard stuff. Unlike you, Mr. Long Jump Pit. Lee Mack broke his arm in the long jump. Doing a long jump 1 year. He'll say it's a triple jump. Broke his arm.
So training cones only, and the rest you can't have.
Yep, that's it. Training cones, that's it.
And how many footballs can you have on the field at once?
Doesn't say.
Okay.
Right. Let's keep going. No access to change rooms. So all club rooms, change rooms, and wet areas are not to be used as part of the return.
So you get dressed in your car?
You gotta get dressed in your car or outside.
Right.
All right.
Hey,
Now,
on the footy sheds, Peps. We
pardon?
don't have to
Hey, yeah, you'd love that, wouldn't you? Being an old country boy in the footy sheds. There's some hygiene protocols in place. So things that you have to do is obviously wash your hands. I don't know how you're going to have to avoid facial touching, covering mouths to elbow. You have to have at least one COVID-safe officer. So the clubs need to nominate an official to undertake the Australian government online COVID-19 infection control training prior to the recommencement of club activity. So another thing volunteers have to go and do. They have to register the participants. Okay, so when you turn up to training, you need to sign in. It's just like what we do on a daily basis.
Yep. Signed in.
Yep. The club has to receive approval from the local government to access the oval for small outdoor training groups. So you can't even jump on your oval unless the local government have said, "Yep, all good."
It's your footy oval.
No, it doesn't matter. The local government have to release it before you can go and do something.
Put a request in for training. You don't train.
Yes. If they say you can't train, you can't train.
That's a lot of pressure.
Ground. And you also have to wipe down the footballs. No high fives. No fist pumps.
Wow. Hey. All right. So there's all the negatives.
No shaking hands.
All the negatives. But people will be able to get out of their house and move again and start to do that stuff, which is good.
Oh, look, they were already doing that. Have you not seen the yoga pants flying around any lakes and rivers over the last X amount of weeks? The yoga pants sales from the female contingent have gone through the roof. I reckon you've picked yourself up a couple pairs for yourself.
Yeah, I don't mind them.
Are you a Lululemon guy or a Jagged or a Lorna Jane type of guy?
Probably more of a 2xU sort of girl.
Oh, a bit of a 2xU. 2xU. Exactly
yep.
right. But it's I don't know, mate. There's two clubs, two leagues have already said so far this year that they're not going ahead with the season.
Yeah, that's my brother-in-law and my sister play one of those.
Who's that? Which one's that?
Heathcote Football League.
So they've said, no, we're not playing?
Not playing this season. I think it just becomes, by the time you sort of take away the ticket sales from the gates and, $5 for a footy program, how can you host all that stuff and put something on and you get no revenue coming through?
No. And that's the thing. And the other one that's pissed me off quite substantially is there's leagues, and I'll name one, the Essendon District Football League.
Yep.
They've actually said that at this stage, and I say at this stage, now we're talking the 26th of May, that there'll be no promotion or relegation. So they're going to play hear me out, they're going to play a 9-round season at the moment with finals, but no one gets relegated and no one gets promoted.
What's the point?
What's the point?
Is EDFL, is that, I can't remember, Peps, if I remind me, is it bottom one gets relegated?
Yeah, bottom one. Yeah. So the bottom one goes down and the Premier goes up. Unlike the amateurs have bottom two. So if you win the prelim and make the grand final, you get promoted. If you end up second last or last, you get relegated.
Unbelievable. So I'm with you. You put your blood, sweat, and tears, and got to be mindful of all of this stuff going on with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
No reward at the end other than winning a premiership that doesn't get you anywhere.
Nothing whatsoever. It's a bloody disgrace. It is a disgrace. Imagine you win the grand final, how hollow it would be.
Yep.
It's going to be hollow to a degree anyway with 9 games, but knowing that it doesn't get you anywhere. I know.
You're going to have Mad Monday after a grand final win.
I don't even know.
Groups.
But even I remember in 2012, our league split B grade up from what they did was they created a third division. As they basically said, after the first 9 games, whoever's ever in the bottom think it was the bottom 6, ended up
Yep.
getting relegated.
Yeah.
They played a final series that year, and they charged people for everything, and they charged people for to go to games and etc. and so forth, but no one got promoted. And our club won the grand final that year in 2012 in Division 3 after being relegated, but no, it was hollow. Yeah, we won a grand final, but what did you win? You didn't win anything.
Yeah.
So it's pathetic. But that
Can
doesn't
I-
surprise me with some of these leagues anymore. They're all just money hungry.
Can I talk about another sport thing, Peps?
Yeah.
Not related to football, but I mean, we're not talking about football because they're going to football anyway. They're talking about putting the Caulfield Cup ahead of the Melbourne Cup this year.
Ooh, now horse racing listeners out there, tell us what you think about this one, because I know I'm not a big punter myself, but I know there are a few people on the chat tonight who are big horse racing people, and they've been telling me for many years the Caulfield Cup is the leading race to the Melbourne Cup.
It's the race day of the calendar.
Mate, I've got one word. Lee Max, come back. Disgrace. It's just a disgrace. I might have to get him on in a couple of weeks' time as a guest. It's a disgrace. And I can't speak for it because I'm not a big horse racing guy. I'm not too sure about yourself, but I know a lot of people will be using that as their form guide moving into not just Caulfield Cup, but you've got Cox Plates and you've got Emirates and you've got a number of other races leading up in as part of the Spring Carnival. But because of the way that the AFL Grand Final is going to be played, they don't want it to overlap. They want to separate it and put it at the back end.
Let me give you an equivalent football, Peps.
Yep.
It's like playing, and one thing, it depends on which context you look through this, like which view you have on this. It's like playing the prelim final after the grand final. Like the Caulfield Cup is the launch for Melbourne Cup horses.
Mate, that is juicy. That is juicy. It looks like it'll make the Geelong Cup the main 2,400 metre race leading into the Melbourne Cup.
Correct.
Now, do you remember that? And the Geelong Cup used to be the last lead-in race before the Melbourne Cup. So that would give those horses that almost last opportunity to get in, or a bit of a form leading into that.
There's about I think it was about a 6-day break before the Melbourne Cup. The Geelong Cup fell on.
Oh, mate, it's a furor out there. It is going to be a furor, and no doubt, I'm telling you now, a lot of people out there are going to be peeved by this. This.
Yep. Caulfield Cup is.
Hey, listeners, leave a comment on the page. Give us a tweet. Like I said, let us know what you think about this. I know, like I said, I've got people now shooting up saying it's a disgrace. Disgrace.
Yep.
One word. Disgrace.
It is a disgrace. It is probably. I mean, we talk about football and having no crowds, but you're literally talking about almost sabotaging your international spring carnival. The biggest way to
everything's been messed up this year. Here's some other things that I've been hearing. Have you heard about the EPL? What's going on over there? So they're hoping to get back, right?
Yes.
But they're not too sure whether they're going to go ahead 100%, etc.
Yeah.
There are clubs maybe taking court action.
Yes.
Because they need the money to stay up.
Correct.
So if they say, look, based on where we are right now, wherever if you're in the bottom 3 in the EPL, I think you get relegated. And then you've got the League Premier 1, I think it is, or League 1 just underneath. They will come up. There are clubs who are just outside the top sort of zone in the Division 1 who are saying you've got to let us play, because if we get that opportunity to get promotion. And you've got clubs, in the bottom half of the EPL saying no. We don't want relegation. If you're not going to finish the season, you can't relegate us because we've got an opportunity to get out.
Yeah.
So that's starting to cause issues from that perspective as well.
You're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in that sport, from being Premier League to Div 1,
and that's just plain Premier League.
Yeah.
Like just playing Premier League, the revenue you get, your share of revenue is that's what keeps the clubs available to pay these stupid amounts to all these players.
Yep. Yep. Because the championship, the EPL. I'm going to throw it out there, Peps. You can tell me if I'm completely wrong here, and my listeners will probably will also give some quick feedback.
Yep.
I think EPL is the most watched league across the world.
What is?
EPL is the most soccer league watched across the world. Most
Yeah.
sport across the world. Biggest sport.
The biggest sport. Well, it's the biggest sporting event, which is the World Cup. We know that.
Yeah,
the biggest annual event is the Super Bowl in the US. But from a watched perspective, I would say that's the EPL. Yeah.
Because I know it's sport. You put soccer in through Asia, your big countries, your Japan, your China, all those ones. There is your money.
Well, apparently they'll still promote the first and second from the championship. I don't know how you can do that. I don't know how you can promote the first and second if you haven't finished the season. But then on the same light, you've got Liverpool, who are the Flemington Straight in front of anyone else. And what do you do if you don't put them through as well? Oh, it's frustrating. And another thing that I want to quickly bring up, back to the AFL, if I hear one more millennial football player say, oh, it'd be a good idea to maybe play a best of 3 grand final series, can they fuck off?
I agree.
It's fucking shitting me, dude. I cannot stand. They're fucking around with this game so much.
Yeah.
Why are they shortening the games to 16 minutes?
16 minutes. Yeah, I don't know. I get.
Why, Jamie? Why?
I think it'll stick around. If it sticks around for 2021, I think there'll be a small gathering of angry people.
Oh, small. A small gathering of angry, a small gathering of angry people would be an industrial regulations fight at the for the Oompa Loompas at Willy Wonka's factory. That's a small group of angry people. I just have no idea why they have to constantly mess around with it. Nobody is asking for it. Do you want the games to go shorter? No. Listeners, do you want the game to go shorter? No. I don't. Oh, sometimes I do, but I don't want the game to be shorter. It's a game of attrition. It's 20 minutes and time on. It's been like that for goodness. It used to be 25 at one stage. But it's 20 minutes plus time on. We don't need to shorten it down. The original reason why they were going to shorten it down was if they were going to have more games packed in, 5-day turnarounds and that sort of stuff. That looks like it's been eliminated. You don't need to do that anymore. Dylan, Eddie, everyone, leave it alone, please. Don't be fuckwits any longer. You do not own the game. The game is going to be around a lot longer after you leave this big round ball. Leave it alone, please. Every week, something else that they want to tweak.
I was going to ask a question about.
Oh, and can I get one more? Can I say one more?
Your podcast.
Here's another one. It's our podcast. My podcast started by me, but you're part of it, mate. Your family. Justin Lepich said on his episode of Sacked, they were talking about Dustin Martin 1 out in the square. He goes, you'll never see that happen again. You'll never see a player 1 out in the square and everybody pushed up because of this 666 anymore.
I reckon.
And you can't. How can you have six? How can you have? You have to have 6 people in the 50.
There will be someone out there who will go,
You cannot do it. You've got to get rid of the 666. It's a freaking disgrace. The ground, anyone should be able to run anywhere. It's not fucking netball. It's not soccer. It's not gridiron. It's not korfball. It's not volleyball. It's AFL football.
Peps, maybe your age is letting you down a bit, but you and I spoke highly about it.
What's that?
I spoke how highly exciting it would be.
Yeah, and and then I've reassessed it after a year, and it's bullshit. Get rid of it.
Is that a actually moment?
That's actually. Yeah, it's crap. I don't like it, and I hate it, and I don't want it to get rid of it. And can we bring the third man up again? Every week I'm going to bring the third man up again. I want to see him come over the top. I want the third man up again. All right. And this exclusion zone around the player, fuck that off as well.
Oh, about nominating the ruck and the exclusion zone around that area.
Oh no. You know when you can't, if you're running near the guy who's got the ball when they've got a free kick, and if you get too close, they give you 50 meters.
Yeah, the 5 meters or whatever it is.
Or whatever it is. Piss that rule off as well. Like it's just and deliberate. Goodness gracious! If you're good enough to kick a ball 50 meters down the ground and dribble it along the line, and it rolls out, so be it. It just shits me, mate.
I feel like the half an hour before this podcast went live, I think you've just got a lot of pent up anger from the system issues that you were having, and now it's still exploding.
It's just exploding, mate. People don't know. We were going for about 2 hours trying to get things going tonight. We had some technical issues going left, right, and centre, but we finally got it up and running, and it'll be like that for every week, which is great. But mate,
a big circle around Peps to your point about the 3-game series.
Yep.
Simply put, for people to understand this, the reason why AFL will never have a best of 3 or a best of 5 or a best of 7 like NBA, NBA and other sports like that is because football is a 360-degree contact game played over 200 odd meters of grass.
It's about 170, 180 lengthwise, mate. Around about 110, 120 wide.
Well, not the way I play it.
No, well, you usually run in a little 5x3 square rectangle, usually on the other side of the boundary line, next to the coach.
With the oranges. Now, the reason why you can't do best of 3 is because the players come off those grounds knackered. They've run 16 to 20 plus kilometers. They've been hit, whacked, tackled, bitten, slapped all over. You can't expect the players to do that.
Sounds like a normal Saturday night at the Wallace household there.
But, I mean, it just wouldn't work. Like, you can't have a grand final times in 3 weeks. Because what game do you get hyped about?
Oh, I can't wait for the third. It's bullshit. It's just bullshit, and it's just millennials. Oh, that'd be a good idea. It works in the NBA.
Yeah. I agree.
No, they're going to play 17 rounds this year, plus 4 weeks of finals. You're spent by the end of the year.
The Peps, you and I, we watch a little bit of... I watch more American football than you, so I admit that. I'm a bit of a tragic, but they've got it perfect over there.
Oh, they have. They don't fuck around with their sport. That's one thing.
They play each other once. You have divisions. That's fine because they're about 47 teams. But then you play one game in the finals. This game, you get beaten, boom, you're out. You get beaten, okay, you get a second chance because you were top. Blah blah. But it's not this best of 7 or best of 5. It's on the day. Are you good enough, or are you not good enough? Simple,
mate. Let's just have a look at the big sports. But before we're getting towards the tail end. Let's go through the big sports. The World Cup soccer, 1 game.
Yep. I'm done.
The FA Cup, 1 game.
Yep.
Rugby League, 1 game. Yep.
Formula 1, 1 race.
1 race.
Look at your face. You were like, fuck.
Miss Nude Australia, 1 dance. You can keep going. 100 meters at the Olympics, 1 race. Oh, we're not going to come back. Sir, we do that. And saying, can you bring everyone back and we'll go again, please? Doesn't work like that.
Harsh over the fact that you don't get even a chance.
Super Bowl, 1 game.
With sprinting, you don't get a chance to have a false start. It's out.
No, it's just like bang, false start. That's it.
And catch you later, mate. Have a shower.
Main event at WrestleMania, 1 event.
That's it. UFC, how many cards do you?
No, but the UFC is the same. You have 1 fight. You don't come back for a 3-stage title fight. It doesn't work like that. And it's just piss weak, and I just don't like it. I'm just getting I'm old, mate. I'm 45 this year. I just want the footy to be back like it used to be, and it's never going to be like that. And I've got to learn to adjust, but I don't want to adjust. All right. You put Michael Voss's Brisbane Lions team against any team now, and they'll smack the living suitcases out of them. You put that team against the Richmond Tigers of today, mate, they will smack the shit out of them. Because you know what? They played real football.
You notice, Peps, I've been watching a bit of that Your Team Won stuff on KO.
Yep.
It's really hard watching football back in the day, knowing what the hell was happening down the field. The camera angles they used back then are just, it's just a different definition. I think there was 14.6 or 14 point something. Now it's 16 to 1 or something is the ratio.
What are you talking about?
Just the TV cameras.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Like it was so different.
No, a lot. Yeah, I watched some of the old games, mate. You watch some of the old SANFL games, some of the old Waffle games. You see some of those grand finals, and you sit back and go, shit, that was cross-country boxing. Like, football was second.
Yeah.
When the siren rang, that was almost like the bell, and 18 on 18 would just ping the crap out of each other. When you've got grand finals named the Bloodbath, not much football was being played. I was watching one of those in the up at Moama Country League. They had that on the radio.
Yeah.
But yeah, could you imagine Michael Voss against Trent Cotchin? Could you be Acker and Dusty?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Jack Rewalt versus Mel Michael?
Yeah.
Leppy John Lynch? Like, these are the sort of stuff that you'd love to see. And they would smack them. It'd
be interesting.
The Scott brothers? Could you see Shy Bolton against Chris Scott?
But I could also see
that's legalised murder. Sydney Stacker versus Brad Scott.
They're faster. They weren't very fast back then. Those guys, shit, they were bigger.
Doesn't matter how fast you are. One good hit to the ribs, one good crack on the back of the skull, one good cookie, and you're cooked, mate. That's what I did throughout my whole career. I copped it because I was hard at it. You don't get a nose like this squib in the footy. Hey, listen, before we wrap up, mate, one thing that we spoke about last week was how we got into our sports. You spoke a little bit about your triathlons. I spoke about footy and Essendon Little League premierships, etc. One thing that we were going to quickly come back and quickly visit was, how did you end up wanting to follow Port Adelaide? Because you're a Melbourne guy, you're from Victoria, but how did you end up following a mob from Port Adelaide?
Yeah, good question. Probably similar to your story. You followed through. I grew up in a Carlton household. Dad's a massive Carlton man. I grew up with my lounge room adorned in Carlton books, Carlton history books, fake premiership cups, and had been entrenched in this is Carlton. We've won 15 premierships, 16 premierships when I turned when I was 9. We are Carlton, and then I turned 13, and Port Adelaide were a new team, and I thought, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to make my own decision and barrack for my own team. And really, because they were new, and they had Gavin Wanganeen, I thought, this is for me.
Yep.
No one had barracked. My small country town was always traditional football clubs in country towns. It's your Carltons, your Essendons, Collingwoods, that sort of stuff.
Yep.
So I just made a choice to just be different and go for Port Adelaide. Growing up in northern central Victoria.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So, but I was a very, very passionate Carlton man before going to Port.
Wow, it's nice.
Yeah. How about you? What's your football?
Oh, mate, I don't have much to it. It's as simple as this. Big Trev, my old man, Melbourne supporter. Auntie's a Melbourne supporter. My grandma was Richmond. My other grandma was Western Bulldogs. Mum was Richmond. Oh, sorry, Melbourne. So it was like Melbourne. Simple as that. And got the Melbourne jumper. Just loved going. People before Auskick, we'd have footy clinic, and we'd go to the footy clinic, and then I'd either go watch East Keeler or I'd go to watch Melbourne play at the old MCG, and that was when you could just do whatever you wanted. You could kick the ball underneath the stadium, go out the front, have a bit of a kick. You'd run onto the ground once the siren went, all that sort of stuff. The good old days. They're the days of watching the great Robbie Flower run around, and that's who I wanted to be. When I was growing up, absolute superstar. And then, unfortunately, they just never won for quite a number of years. And at one stage, I said to my dad, I'm not barracking for Melbourne. I want to barrack for Carlton. And that was in 86 when they made the final against Hawthorn, which they lost. And then 87, they won the flag. And Big Trev just simply said, okay, mate, that's fine. If you want to barrack for Carlton, that's fine. That's up to you. You just have to go and buy your own jumper. And at that stage, I went, no, I love the Demons. and haven't looked back since. And look, it's actually good to barrack for a team that not many other people in the area, because being from the sort of northwest, it was Essendon, basically Essendon everywhere, and so I have a real passion for hating Essendon supporters. Yep. Some of them personally, but most of them anecdotally, because they just think they're the God's gift. And so it's actually, love it. Just watching it with watching the D's, and you have your good moments, you have your bad moments. You got to live through it. You celebrate the good moments a lot more because you've had to go through the bad. And I think that's what it's about with clubs. Some people haven't had that for quite a number of years. I'm jealous of Hawthorn. I'm jealous of Geelong. I'm jealous of Collingwood and Richmond quite recently, of Brisbane, because they've had success, and we haven't had that ability. And so that's why I stick fat. And people go, "Why don't you change your team?" Well, no, I don't want to change my team. Why do I want to be a sheep when I can be a shepherd and be someone completely different? Because you got mates who are Hawthorn, you got mates who are Essendon, and being something different, you can have a bit of a laugh about it. Yeah, we're shit. We don't care. We have a bit of a laugh. I'm been chatting to my mate I've known for, goodness gracious, how old am I? 30. I'm 44. I've known Lee, who's on the chat here, since we were 7. So what's that? 37 years I've known this bloke, mate. He's gone to Essendon scum. I'll have a bit of a chat, or poke the bear when it comes to Hawthorn. He pokes the bear when it comes to the D's, but it's all in good nature. He's a top bloke. All my mates, they know I barrack from Melbourne, and they laugh, and then they have a bit of fun with it. So I'm not going to change. Why would you? It's your team. It's a team. That's what it's all about. Everybody's got the team. Everyone's got their opinion.
Yep.
Simple as that too. Hey, I reckon we're done for this week, mate. An absolute corker of an episode, talking about lots of different things, but that's what it is. Something else, ladies and gentlemen listening out there, and also following on the live stream. We're going to be coming back every single week with the live stream, so you'll be able to get on board, share it out with everybody. But one thing I am going to let you all know about is that we know that we've got the Lace Out podcast. That's what we're all started. That's what we're recorded, and we'll be out the next day or so. One thing that we're going to be doing is a new segment on Thursday nights, not visually. It'll just be an audio only, and it's going to be called Tipped Out. And Tipped Out is Jamie and I going through our tips for the upcoming games. So the week before the first game, on the Thursday night, once the teams are out, Jamie and I are going to get on board. We're going to go into Tipped Out, and we're going to give you a bit of a heads up who we think is going to win for the upcoming game. So stay tuned. We're going from once a week to twice a week. So you just can't get enough of us. And we know it's because it's how you want your footy. Lace out.
It's also, it's not a big podcast. Maybe 10, 20 minutes. Not a big one.
It's not even going to be that. It's going to be, all right, buddy, the games are coming out. Who do you think is going to win and why? It's simple as that. Everybody picks the games to death. We know that. We're not like that. We just like to have a bit of a chill-wag about the great game. And we're just going to give our honest opinion. And once again, our footy tipping is going to be going ahead too. So we'll leave you some more details on that as we come along. But, mate, we're done for this beautiful week. Thank you very much for joining us. Everybody who's been joining us on the chat, especially you, Lee Mac. Fantastic. Great. Let everybody know that we're here next week, because the more people that get involved, the better this episode's going to be. And I can tell you, once the games start, we'll have a hell of a lot more to talk about as well too. But on behalf of me, Chris Pepper, Jamie Wallace, once again, mate, how do you love your football?
I like a lace out.
I like my footy lace out. Thanks to you listeners. Have a great week, and we'll see you this time next week. Subscribe, share, and review.